What conspiracy theories do you think are too logical to ignore? Part 2. That civilizations have risen and fallen far earlier than we currently are aware, and that ancient civilizations were way more capable than we give them credit for. Perhaps more intelligent than we give them credit for, but it's really hard to hide some markers of advanced civilization like mass steel production. We're not any smarter, we just have more shoulders of giants to stand on.
The whole aliens in Area 51 thing was to cover up the fact that it's actually a military test facility.
The government would rather have alien BS about that place than have other governments steal or sell their weapons and tech to avoid another war. Pretty smart, IMO. To be fair, it's probably quite handy to have the public think they keep aliens there. Helps distract from where the aliens are really kept. Princess Diana's car crash wasn't accidental. I truly believe Prince Philip hired someone to get rid of her and have a feeling that when he, Elizabeth, and Charles die, some very secret conversations, emails, etc. will come out. Madeleine McCann was accidentally killed by her parents. I don't believe they intended to do it, but I do believe they covered it up, and once the press etc. arrived, they saw an opportunity to make money out of the situation. Another thing is that Diana felt very suspicious that she was going to be killed by someone before this happened. Plus, the autopsy reports of the crash are dubious at best. There is a giant money laundering cycle driven by the sale of paintings. It's just a piece of canvas with some paint on it. I may understand some people would be willing to buy paintings from the Renaissance, but modern art is definitely a huge money laundering instrument. That we're being listened to at all times. My phone hears me when I say, "Hey Siri," and activates Siri. Same with my Google Home. They'd have to be listening at all times to hear that, right? Also, Spotify did a deal where if you have Spotify Premium, you get a free Google Home. There are also deals on them frequently, which makes it seem as though they're trying to get them in as many households as possible. Oh, I know a bit about this. My friends on the Alexa team have told me that basically, Amazon doesn't want pay to transmit, process, and store 24/7 audio from every device. That's expensive. Plus, it would be super creepy. But on the other hand, giving the devices enough brains, CPU power, to process everything you say locally would also be crazy hard to do. Full audio understanding is not easy. So what's one to do? Answer: the device listens all the time and records the last few seconds, throwing out everything older than 5 seconds. It then knows how to process only one word, Alexa or computer or Amazon, if those are your wake words. If it recognizes the wake word, the last few seconds and whatever comes next gets sent over the internet for way better audio processing and AI. You can check this. Network security stuff can record when and how much data is sent out of the device. Watch it 24/7 and watch what happens when you say, "Alexa." No or very little data transmitted outside of those moments. Do Google and Apple also do this? No idea.
The Allies certainly knew about the Holocaust long before April-May 1945.
They never just happened upon the camps as they were defeating Nazi Germany. This begs the question on why they never lifted a finger to stop the importations,
destroy the rail lines to the camps, etc.
But they never did despite them knowing what was going on. Michael Jackson and some other celebrities aren't actually dead, and that they live remotely without social media just to enjoy their retirement. Michael Jackson, Tupac, and the real Paul McCartney all hang out on Dracula's moon base and write beautiful music together. Elvis doesn't do that. Fidel Castro being Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's father. The resemblance really is uncanny. He looks nothing like his supposed biological father. And when you see that the dates his mom was staying with the Castros in Cuba, everything really does line up. She also had numerous affairs rumors with people like Mick Jagger while she was married. She really had a history of getting around and partying at places like Studio 54, etc. Finally, one I haven't heard. The reason Disney came out with a movie called Frozen was so that when you Googled Disney Frozen, you would get information about the movie and not websites talking about Walt Disney's body being frozen. The same goes for Disney on Ice. In that case, look out for the 2022 release of Anti-Semite coming to a movie theater near you. The theory that there is more to COVID-19 than governments are prepared to admit. This is our 4th major coronavirus after SARS and MERS and swine flu. Not sure if that's a corona variant, but governments are treating it like it's a far more virulent plague with quarantines, evacuations, and a panic level completely out of proportion for the apparent number of affected and deceased. government's knowledge of space aliens for over 60 years, and other anomalies they don't tell the public that would cause panic or fear. I had a professor in high school who was a worker at NASA when he was young. He was 90 then and recently passed away. He would always tell us that when the astronauts came back, they would have to sign forms with the government to not talk about certain things they saw. Robert Kardashian retook the bar exam after not practicing law for years, just to join O.J. Simpson's legal team. He was also seen taking a bag off O.J. when he got off the plane. The theory goes that the bag contained evidence like the murder weapon or bloody clothes, and Kardashian joined the legal team so he couldn't be called to testify. I don't deserve these upvotes. The bag thing wouldn't have been protected by attorney-client privilege, and Kardashian could still be called even if OJ's his client. Lawyer here, he could still be called to testify. Taking that bag wouldn't be covered by attorney-client privilege for a number of reasons, the most important of which being that he was not a client at the time he took the bag. And his hiring him as a lawyer isn't something that would otherwise bar him from testifying. If his testimony is relevant to the case and not otherwise privileged, your lawyer can be called to testify. Not exactly a conspiracy, it's just not common knowledge. BPA is still finding its way into our daily lives. BPA can mimic and disrupt certain hormones, estrogen for one, which can cause numerous issues in the body as well as reducing men's sperm quality and therefore fertility. BPA has been removed from most food products, but if a product is marked BPA-free, it more than likely contains BPS, a substitute for BPA that hasn't been studied as well as BPA, so it could be better, equal to, or worse than BPA. We just don't know yet. Secondly, the most common place for BPA is the lining of food cans. That's right. Any kind of canned vegetable or soup is lined with BPA, which gets absorbed into the food, and is worse with foods that are highly acidic. It's also found in electronics, which leach it into the air upon use.
As well as various other daily items, plastic utensils for one, so stick to metal or glass food products. I work for a chemical manufacturing company and have dealt with BPA quite regularly in a pure form.
I took precautions, but watching the old heads handle it and essentially be inhaling the dust from it was wild. Phantom cosmonauts and astronauts. There is no way no one died in space, burned up on re-entry, or drifted off course and couldn't get back to Earth in the early days of the space race. Many years ago, someone said they had picked up a recording of a cosmonaut saying his craft had missed his trajectory and he was headed away from Earth by mistake. Knew he would die.
9/11 was allowed to happen so the government could go ahead with political agendas that would have been very unpopular otherwise. There were all kinds of advanced warnings that an attack was imminent, yet they were ignored. The attack allowed for the invasion and never-ending occupation of the Middle East, as well as the Patriot Act, that allows for increased spying by the government, and was passed only about a month after 9/11. If you read the 9/11 Commission report, it's very clear that we did know, but bureaucracy is more to blame. There's no Illuminati that controls the world with virgin sacrifices or secret handshakes. No, the way I see it, the truth is far more mundane. The richest 50 to 100 people on each continent or geographical area get together every so often and decide collectively and separately who does what, where, and when, which government will do such and so on. Money makes the world go round. Stands to reason that wealth pulls the real strings in the world. I mean, I don't sit about and obsess about this, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. Check out the Bilderberg Group. Here's the problem with that one. The richest and most powerful people meet in secret. You really think Elon Musk wouldn't accidentally tweet about it? The final speech in the 2012 film, The Dictator, Admiral General Aladdin, Sacha Baron Cohen. This constitution is nothing but a license for oil companies and foreign interests to destroy my beloved Wadia. Wadia will remain a dictatorship. Admiral General Aladdin. Why are you guys so anti-dictators? Imagine if America was a dictatorship. You could let 1% of the people have all the nation's wealth. You could help your rich friends get richer by cutting their taxes and bailing them out when they gamble and lose. You could ignore the needs of the poor for healthcare and education. Your media would appear free, but would secretly be controlled by one person and his family. You could wiretap phones. You could torture foreign prisoners. You could have rigged elections. You could lie about why you go to war. You could fill your prisons with one particular racial group and no one would complain. You could use the media to scare the people into supporting policies that are against their interests. Of course, he's joking about the dictatorship. For those who didn't understand, it's a film. It's not just the US. The Australian government is trying to pass a law of no cash transactions over 10 grand. Our interest rates are dangerously close to zero. KFC puts an addictive additive in the chicken that makes you crave it fortnightly. I hated the Colonel with that smug look on his face and those beady eyes. Oh, I know you're going to buy my chicken. Chester Bennington was murdered, and his suicide was staged. He had just gotten back from vacation with his family and was close friends with Chris Cornell, who had allegedly committed suicide in the exact same manner not long prior. Both of them had been trying to expose pedophile rings in Hollywood, and both ended up dying in the exact same way. Everyone knows Epstein didn't kill himself, but his alleged suicide was extremely similar to the others. And seeing as everyone believes he was murdered to prevent him from testifying against other people involved with his pedo island, it makes way too much sense that these two famous singers who were trying to expose the exact same stuff would have been killed by the same people to cover their tracks, especially due to how similar all of these suicides by hanging were.